Assalamu alaikum. Sudan produced a record 64 tons of gold in 2024, generating about $1.6 billion in official gold exports. However, independent estimates suggest that the true production is around 80 tons a year, worth over $6 billion. Some reports cite that Sudanese gold reserves are up to 1,550 tons of gold within Sudan. So at least now we know what this is all about. Sudan's tragedy is not unique. It is the same post-colonial nightmare being replayed once again. We have seen it before in Libya, Iraq, Syria, Yemen. Chaos created to control resources, oil before, today it's gold. Sudan is not an exception. It is a symptom of a system which is designed to keep nations weak and divided. Foreign greed, local power struggles, and global silence. Sudan is simply the latest victim of this repeating cycle. The colonial playbook is familiar. The same colonial players, America, Britain, Russia, the ones that are actually pulling the strings. They're proxy agents, Egypt, Dubai, UAE, Saudi, who do their dirty bidding. 3. The hired foot soldiers, the RSF, the Rapid Security Forces, the SAF, the Sudanese Armed Forces, the Colombian, the Wagner mercenaries, hired killing machines who do the killing. The prize? What are they all fighting over? Gold, minerals, ports, strategic waterways, farmland. And the victims? Well, who actually cares about the victims? It's the Sudanese, men, women, and children, Muslim and non-Muslim alike. Humanity. And the winners? It's the colonialists and their proxy agents. America, Britain, Russia, the UAE, and the Saudis. And the overall loser? Sudan. Let's explore. All roads still lead back to the colonialists. When they left their colonies, they didn't really leave, they just changed tactics. They left behind proxy agents, border disputes, loyal factions, and they deepened the ethnic and religious divisions. And then they financed and protected them under the banner of strategic national interest. The same old hands that once carved up Sudan before are back again to carve it up yet further, this time in a new scramble for Africa. America and Britain preach democracy, but rarely seek stability and control of the Red Sea routes. Russia wants Sudan's gold and a naval base on the Red Sea at Port Sudan. Each colonial power props up its own chosen faction. It gives it aid, arms, and diplomacy while Sudan bleeds. As for the colonialist proxy agents, Egypt, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the US channels its influence through what it calls the Sudan Quartet. That's America, Saudi, Egypt, and the UAE. And behind the talk of diplomacy lies a network of Arab regimes doing the West's dirty work once again. The UAE, perhaps the most ruthless of the Arab Zion regimes. Abu Dhabi backs Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, better known as Hamidati, the butcher of Darfur, and his rapid support forces, the RSF, were in pursuit of Sudan's gold, trade routes into sub-Saharan Africa, Red Sea security, food supply lines, and commercial dominance. Official data shows that nearly 90% of Sudan's gold exports in early 2025 went to Dubai, and that's both the legal and the illegal gold trade, making Dubai Sudan's biggest buyer of gold. That gold money is what is fueling the RSF's war machine. As for Saudi Arabia, it plays both sides, publicly mediating, privately providing political, financial, and logistical backing that empowers paramilitaries. Its real aim? To secure stability for its Red Sea mega projects and protect its investment corridors. As for Egypt, strategically it supports the Sudanese armed forces to protect the Nile water rights, border security, and regional influence. There are others, but together these three states act as the middlemen for Western and global powers, turning Sudan into yet another proxy battlefield, where Arab hands are yet again serving colonial interests whilst the Sudanese lives are lost. The Arab Zion proxy states, they use the RSF, the SAF, and foreign mercenaries from the Colombian fighters to the Wagner contractors as hired hands that do all of the bloodshed. They fight the Quartet's war while keeping the Dubai's and the Saudi and Egypt and the US at a safe distance from direct blame. Funding, arms, and logistics flow through shell companies, third parties, and friendly states. The same playbook used during Gaza's genocide. As for the RSF, it is a paramilitary rooted in Janjaweed militias led by Hamidati. Backed by the UAE and Zionist interests, it controls the major gold-producing areas using gold revenues to arm and expand its operations. The Sudanese armed forces, the SAF, they are led by General Burhan, backed by Egypt. It controls the air assets of Sudan and state institutions. They were both once allies, but these forces have now been locked in a brutal civil war, committing horrific war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and mass civilian killings, all paid for by the Arab proxy Zion rulers, all while the world watches. And what are they really fighting for? The same reason colonial powers invaded, and the same reason the slave trade thrived, and the same reason that whole of Africa has been fighting: resources and profit. Gold. Sudan holds some of Africa's richest reserves, up to 1,550 tons, now largely controlled by the RSF and funneled through Dubai and Russian networks. The strategic ports, Red Sea ports, are coveted by the US, Russia, and Gulf states for trade routes and military access. Land and agriculture, vast farmland, is being leased or sold to foreign investors, leaving Sudanese people impoverished while outsiders reap the real profits. Sudan, like all former colonies before, is being stripped of its wealth, and the prize fuels the machinery of war. As for the victims, the Sudanese people, who cares? Al-Fashir or Darfur? Recent reports document that the RSF's takeover of Al-Fashir, with mass killings, ethnic cleansing, and entire villages wiped out. Independent monitors, the UN, the Human Rights Watch, and the OHCHR confirmed targeted violence, summary executions, and atrocities. Displacement, destruction, millions are uprooted. Cities like Khartoum lie in rubble. Forced displacement is rampant. Starvation disease is widespread. Humanitarian access is blocked in many areas, triggering acute malnutrition and deadly epidemics. A lost generation, youth orphaned, traumatized, and robbed of any hope for the future. And weapons continue to flow. Amnesty and UN investigations confirm that heavy weapons and drones are entering Sudan since 2023, have escalated the conflict and intensified civilian suffering. And who are the winners from all of this bloodshed? It should come as no surprise. The real winners of Sudan's bloodshed are the colonial powers and their proxy Arab Zion agents. America, Britain protect naval routes, strategic access, regional influence, working through their proxy Arab Zion allies. The UAE, Dubai, and Saudi Arabia expand their gold holdings, control trade logistics, and dominate the Red Sea corridor. Russia secures gold exports and pushes for a naval foothold. So everyone profits except the Sudanese people. Brothers and sisters, is it imperative that we understand the bigger picture? Whether it's Sudan or Gaza, they are both symptoms of the same problem. The parallels between Gaza and Sudan are undeniable. Both victims of the same colonial design, where foreign powers, local elites, and proxy regimes work together to crush Muslim nations. If the Ummah is to learn anything, it is this. Our instability, our wars, our vulnerability are not accidents. They are the direct results of colonialism. The entire Muslim world, from Pakistan to Turkey, from Middle East to Africa, is the modern creation of that same colonial project. Colonial borders, divide and rule politics, deepen ethnic and religious divisions, elite corruption, both bleeding Africa and the Muslim world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us in the Quran, وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ اقْتَتَلُوا فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا فَإِن بَغَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا عَلَى الْأُخْرَى فَقَاتِلُوا التي تبغي حتى تفيء إلى أمر الله فإن فاءت فأصلحوا بينهما بالعدل وأقسطوا إن الله يحب المقسطين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and if two groups amongst the believers fight, then make reconciliation, make settlement between the two. But if one of them oppresses the other, then fight against the one that oppresses until it returns to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it returns, then make settlement between them in justice. Yet these regimes, the Arab Zion regimes, do the opposite. They fuel the conflict, they arm the killers, and they aid the oppressors for their own political and financial gain. They are as much the problem as the RSF, as the US, Britain, or Russia. The Ummah's liberation requires more than removing the RSF militias. It demands the removal of colonial influence and their aged rulers, and the restoration of a true leadership that protects its people, its resources, and its dignity. So what can we do to help? Whether it's Gaza or Sudan, inaction and silence is just not an option. Dua and charity alone are not enough when there are Islamic political actions we can take. Two genocides are unfolding side by side, and we must act. Some practical steps that we can take. Firstly, we can all expose the agenda. We can all work to reveal the Western colonial interests and the role of the Arab Zion proxy rulers behind Sudan's genocide. Secondly, we can share this story. We can spread this video with family, friends, and colleagues to make the truth easy for everyone to understand. So share this video. 3. We can support and pressure. We can back verified humanitarian channels, pressure governments, and support Sudanese diaspora campaigns. 4. We can boycott Dubai. Name and shame the Arab Zion rulers, starting with Dubai, for their ruthlessness and complicity in the genocides in both Sudan and Gaza. And fifthly, work for Muslim Ummah unity. Two genocides unfolding, side by side. Human life loss is unmeasurable. True protection for Sudan, for Gaza, for Al-Aqsa requires political unity under the Islamic Khilafah, which it would ensure governance, representation, and defense of the Muslim people. Without unity, our vulnerability will only grow. Today it is Sudan. Today it is Gaza. Tomorrow only Allah knows what will be next. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.